Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Creativity Theory Podcast. Today, my guest is, I'm sorry, what's your name again?
Bethany.
Bethany. Okay, sorry. I just learned it recently. So this is Bethany Seagle. This is, I don't know if I'd call her a friend or anything. Kind of more like an enemy if you think about it. But if you really break it down, we'll not get into that. But, you know, before we start off, got to get into the sponsors. Got a couple ads I got to read. So I'm just going to go ahead and read the first ad. Are you someone who spends hours putting on makeup in the mirror every morning? Do you have a bright red, puffy, round nose and big polka dot shoes that flop around a bunch? What about a little horn that goes honk honk? If you answered yes to these questions, then you should absolutely sign up for Truist Online Banking. Download the app today and find out why.
I want to know why.
Well, download the app, find out. This second one. Can you actually read this one?
I can.
Okay, thank you. Just go ahead and start reading it.
Okay, no problem. It might look like I'm reading right now, but I'm actually speaking from the heart. I'm supposed to be promoting athletic greens right now, but I just can't do it. I have something to say that is far more important. This has been something I've been wanting to say for a long time now. I'm really nervous, but here it goes.
What's it say?
My name is Bethany Seagle, and I'm in love with Cameron Smith. There, I said it. Feels good to finally get that out.
Wow. I didn't know you felt that way. Is that even what that says? Were you really speaking from the heart?
Yep, that was all from the heart.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, hey, we're off to a good start, don't you think? The mood's been alleviated. It was very heavy when you came in. We were just both super sad and down.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Now we're super happy. We've gotten our feelings out. Hey, I appreciate you saying that. I don't think I feel the same, but, you know, I appreciate you feeling that.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. Bethany, you do a lot of things, but namely, most people probably know you for modeling and photography. So I want to hear from you about when you got into these, which came first, the modeling or the photography. And yeah, just a little bit about your story into getting into those things.
Yeah, absolutely. So, going back to high school.
And I'm so sorry. Could you just pull this up just a little bit?
Oh, sorry. That good?
That's perfect.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Okay. I can hear myself better. Okay. In high school, like right when I was graduating, I did there's a girl that I worked with, and she was a photographer. And she asked to shoot with me, and I did, and that was my first, like, I was like, oh my gosh, like, in front of the camera. I was so nervous, everything. Didn't really know at all what I was doing. And then just going from that point, and then in college, like, I modeled for a couple boutiques. Like, they just reached out to me, and I was like, okay, like, still didn't really know what I was doing. But then from there, it just kind of like progressed. And then the creative community in Wilmington is really cool, because it's like, once you kind of put yourself out there, then everyone just kind of like, it welcomes you a little bit. And so it's like you're able to like connect and then work with different people. And from there, I like my love for fashion kind of grew, and I started like a little like online boutique, and then I needed models for that. So I was like, I had a few photographers that I loved that I worked with, and then it just became, I was like, you know, I have a camera. Why don't I just try to take photos of them? And so I would take photos of my models, and then from there it was like, again, the creative community, like people were like, oh, hey, I want to shoot with you, blah, blah. And I was like, okay. So from there I just like started shooting people. And so I kind of just, that was definitely more on the hobby side. And I continued modeling during that period. And that was definitely more of like what I visioned myself as. And then, yeah, so then here we are today. I still do both, but definitely more heavy on the photography side now.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you, I mean, even though you are heavier on the photography side now, do you still feel like you like modeling more, or have you grown to just love photography more?
Okay, so on more of like a deeper level of that question, I love the modeling part of like being able to dress up. I love that. I love almost like becoming a character. I love like just being in this zone and like being able to express myself and have those expressions like photographed, and then just having like these ideas and bringing them to life and being the one to like actually bring them to life. But on the photography side, like I love being able to see other people do that, and I love to be able to like see someone that maybe, you know, whether you're like a professional model, I've worked with those, or you're someone that you never get photos taken of yourself. Like I've been with both ends of the spectrum, and just to see someone like be able to come out of their shell and like just be themselves and be confident, it's just awesome.
Yeah. Do you have sort of techniques for, I'm sure you've worked with plenty of people that have a hard time coming out of their shell when you shoot with them. Do you have techniques for like trying to coax them out of their shell, trying to help loosen things up?
Yeah, I guess like I just try to make it like we're hanging out, like we're having a good time, like just joking around, like no, you're not allowed to talk bad about yourself. That's a big thing. Like we're only going to be positive. But yeah, I think that my techniques would just be like trying to figure out like what they love about themselves, and like me seeing things that I find like really amazing about this person and trying to bring that to life so that the camera catches it too. Right.
So hypothetically, if you were working with me,
oh no,
and I was of course this was never happened, that's why it's a hypothetical, but if you were working with me, I'm a model obviously, and I started talking bad about myself, how would you stop me?
We're not doing that.
You would just get that?
I mean, yeah, I would
if I kept going after you verbally asked me, would you hit me?
You probably.
Me probably. Okay.
Just kidding. No,
oh,
we
damn.
won't resort. No.
Bummer.
No, I would not do that.
Okay.
That's unprofessional.
It's very sweet of you to say. It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Other than, of course, the thing that you said earlier at the beginning of the podcast. But
yeah, I actually do. I just started taking athletic greens.
Did you really?
Yeah. That's why I promoted it.
Oh. Seemed like you got distracted when you were trying to promote it.
Yeah, there must be, this house is probably haunted, honestly.
That's definitely for sure.
Yeah.
With the range of different photo shoots that you do, I know we were talking about this on the phone a little bit the other day, but I feel like you mostly asked me and I didn't hear from you, which I tend to do that. I tend to talk a lot about me.
Leo.
Yeah. Virgo, fuck yourself.
That was aggressive.
I'm going to cut that out so it seems... What do you, the range of photo shoots that you do you have like a favorite kind of shoot that you like doing, or like a range of different types of photo shoots you kind of aim for that are more fulfilling for you?
Yeah. So I would say just anything that is styled from top to bottom kind of thing. Like when you have an outfit, a hair, like makeup, just an entire like aesthetic that you're going for, even like props, like just creating an entire scene, and from there like just making it visually pleasing. And trying new things with that, and just I think that just basically, to answer your question, like something that is curated, a very styled shoot that you can achieve like a very specific type of look from that. Right.
So you kind of enjoy the really controlled shoots rather than like candid shoots.
I think that both of them have really beautiful aspects to them, but just from my taste, I love just kind of
the manipulation of all the elements, like the creative manipulation of all the, yeah. It's cool to see all those things come together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I feel like I see that in what you do. You've got a good eye for that. I tend to prefer to capture the chaos of the uncontrolled environment, and then hopefully get something out of it. I'm not very good with like posing people. It's either I'm working with someone that's good at poses, or you're gonna do some generic poses.
I guess for me, like, that's why modeling helped. Because
Yes.
I know how to kind of do that. I think working on communicating is like my biggest struggle, because I'll be like, just don't do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or do this. But no, I feel like posing, like, it's not something, like, if you have something in your head, I mean, that you think would look cool, just like try it. And if it doesn't work, they probably won't remember it.
Yes, experimentation is very important in, I mean, any creative process. You know, if you get like, even if you're just super good at what you do, a lot of people get lost in like their systematic ways of doing things, and they'll never branch out of it because they just get really good at doing a specific thing a specific way. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Good to experiment.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite experiment that you've done?
Well, the 5-hour movie I made that I finished in 2018, that was insane. Like, that was, in terms of just the creative process. I think it was the first thing I made that I kind of had. It was the first thing I made after having like my eye opened, or the first thing I made after like opening my eyes to the infinity. And I realized that what I just said about getting a little too systematic. My stuff was starting. The last 2 films I had made before that, I liked a lot. They're the most polished things I've ever made.
Right.
And they weren't necessarily polished, but polished for me. And I really liked the products, but the process of making it, I didn't have as much fun with, and I didn't like that. And so kind of just a bunch of things happening at one time. There was like personal shift that happened for me. And then I just had all these kind of ideas swimming around. I didn't know how to combine, and then suddenly I knew how to combine them. And there was just this openness to trusting this process that like my intuition was feeding me just one day at a time. And it was like, this is what I'm doing today. I don't know what this is going to be. I have no idea. I don't understand what's guiding me, but I'm just going to do it. And of course, like the thinking brain has always like, no one's going to like this. No one's going to sit for 5 hours and watch a movie. You fucking insane. And the whole time it's just like, just ignore it. Just ignore it.
Yeah.
Make it. And yeah, the process of making that was so fun. It was like an unscripted psychodrama of, oh man. I mean, it's a strange product. It's a strange product.
Yeah.
But it is, the experience of making it. And then just the last handful of albums I made, I got really into. I think that's really the big shift, is rather than being so concerned with the finished product and trying to craft it in some way that's like particular to what's going on in the mind's eye, it's like getting really interested in the process itself and making the process fun and seeing what happens. Like I read Rick Rubin's book really recently. He put out one called The Creative Act.
Okay.
And he distinguishes 2 things in there about like he just verbally distinguishes. There's crafting and then there's art. And I'm probably butchering this a little bit, but this is the gist of it. Crafting is when you do what I just said, where it's like you have a specific thing, a very specific vision, and then you try to manipulate reality to make it exactly like that. And then art is when you go in with a question and then you solve that question and find out the answer. Ooh. Yeah. And I think that I used to be some version of artistic on accident, but I think I leaned a little more craftsman-like in terms of having things that I was like, this is the vision, I'm going to execute it.
Right.
But then I think that shift, it made me be a lot more open to that. Like, the stuff doesn't seem to be so good or fun when it's like the fun of coming up with a vision, that's fun. But then when you start trying to do the technical work to execute it, and then it's hard, like things are just not working out the way it is in your head.
Yeah.
There's that friction and it makes the process unpleasant.
Right.
Yeah.
You said a lot.
I did. I yapped, as I usually do.
Per usual. No, but I think that a lot of those points were really good, because like I think maybe as kids we're kind of taught like, oh, you have a task and this you do it this way, and then we're trying to translate that into art whenever art isn't meant for that. Like, yes, like if you're making a table, you can't just kind of trust the process completely. Like, you're gonna have to have like measurements and stuff, but you know, like you said, even just the way you do it, maybe like you shape it a little different or like whatever. Like, there's ways to implement, you know, fun and artistic power in that journey. But I find myself also a lot like doing it, feeling more like my brain tries to make it crafting, because it's like, you have to do this and this and this and this, but it's like, no, that's not like the point.
Yeah. You take away the fun when you do that too much. But you're right, there does have to be some sort of structure in order for the chaos and the creativity to like swirl around.
Right.
And for there to be, you kind of have to create some sort of spine or some sort of trunk, like tree trunk, for you to then allow the chaos to build the limbs and the leaves on. Yeah. Okay. Well, another thing, I know when we first met, you also briefly mentioned that you have some experience with music, singing, and also acting. So I want to get into those.
Okay.
Why is your face that way?
What way is my face? No, let's get into it.
So tell me about your experience with music.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Well, it started like ever since I was a kid, I was all about it. Oh, the microphone.
Okay?
Yeah, that thing. Yeah, I always just loved it. It was like when I was growing up, I was like, oh, I'm going to be on American Idol as soon as I'm 16. Because they would look at this, like 16 seemed so old at the time. And I was like, oh, when I'm 16, I'm going, like, whatever. But thank God that didn't end up happening. But, yeah, it was like, my sleepovers, like, all I wanted to do was sing karaoke.
Okay.
And, like, dress up.
Did you have go-to karaoke songs?
I had like, because this is back when you had like little discs and stuff, and I had
You're limited.
Yeah, I had Hannah Montana.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big one. And then like I think maybe some princess ones. Like just typical like young girl stuff.
Yeah.
And then there were like, I think I would play sometimes like like regular CDs and then just sing along. That sounds like something familiar. Anyway. But yeah, so I just loved doing that. And then that like once I got old enough, like I mean I did like church choir, like all that stuff, and then in high school and middle school I did like musicals and stuff, and then kind of there was after that, like I think that I kind of just, how do I put this? Okay, when I say I was in like church stuff, like it was, okay, wait, I don't know if I want to go down this road. Let me just do it. Like, I'll just go down this road, and this like, I guess this comes with like religious trauma too. But like, just how cliquey everything was, and basically never felt like good enough to like actually get a good part or like a solo, like that kind of stuff. And so I really got like in my head about it, and I was like, oh, like I'm just not good enough. Like I'm like, my voice just isn't pretty. Like I have like, okay, like I want to do this, but it's just actually not like there. And then it kind of just like translated into like this stage fright. And then the only times I ever felt truly confident singing and stuff was like during the musicals when I was acting too. So it was like I was in this character role, and so this character was like confident and blah 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 blah. So like once I was in that role, like so they really like complemented each other, because me as Bethany, like I was like scared of it, and so I still am overcoming that fear. As you kind of saw, like just because I know it's in there, but it's like the second I like am, you know, I'm myself trying to like produce something, it's like, oh, am I not good enough? Like, why even try if I'm gonna sound bad, kind of thing. But it is something that I've always loved, and I want to, like, there's a reason that, you know, I was 5 years old with a microphone in my hand 24/7, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's always something to look to with like what you were doing as a child. to figure out like what's like this really deeply embedded unconscious interest you have.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that about the church choir and all those dynamics. But we haven't really talked about acting, which I actually have been meaning to ask you in our conversations.
Yeah.
So I understand you were in plays and stuff in school. But yeah, tell
I'm
me
actually acting right now. Yep.
I can tell.
Yep. Yeah, what do you want to know?
I don't know, just about I guess was that what you just outlined, your first experience with acting, like the musicals in high school?
Yeah, like I mean, I did, like, again through church, like I tried to be a part of everything. I went to like little audition thing, you know, those scammers. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Not specific. I just know of scammers in general.
Yeah, those guys. No, the like it's like they'll do like a casting call like thing, but it's like you go through the whole thing, and then it's just like at the end of it they're like, all right, if you pay us this much. Yeah, I was like, I don't know how I found those. I was just like always like trying to seek out opportunities when I was a kid, so I would like try that kind of stuff, but then it would be like at a convention or hotel or something, and then you'd do like this acting thing. I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, I'm trying. Gosh, you're like bringing up old memories. Like I forgot about that until you brought it up. With acting, yeah. So I guess like in my young life, like I just through church and school, like plays and stuff, and then in college, it was just, again, it didn't seem like practical. Like anything creative just didn't seem practical, right? And it was just like, so I took an improv class and like loved it. It like brought out that like side of me that I was like, I missed. Yeah. And, but I haven't really been a part, like I've done like little like videos and stuff, but even that's like not really acting. Like it's not like, oh, here's your script and stuff. Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's mostly my experience with acting, is doing my own videos. Like I did hundreds of them in like middle school and high school, and some in college. And some, mostly everything I've been in is mostly my own thing. There's sometimes I've got to hop on other friends' projects, but I hate the audition process. I hate it. It's so not acting. Yeah. It's like this faux acting. And to me, like when I've cast films and I've done a casting call, it's like, I really don't care about you doing an audition. I want to have an interview with you so I can like talk to you about creative process and like what you're down for. But I'm more interested in seeing if you have shot any, like if you've acted before and it's on camera. I'd like to see that. Oh, okay. That's way more.
I have, oh my gosh, my mom has videos, like, well, from like plays I did and stuff. I was the Grinch one time.
Yeah? Yeah. Like in The Grinch? You were the Grinch?
Yeah, I'm actually Jim Carrey. I'm acting as Bethany right now.
Okay.
No, wait, you just made me think of something. Oh, when you said, I don't know why this made me think of this, but you know how like for auditioning, like you have to like have like a monologue. That's why it made me think of it, but you have to have like a monologue. And so there was one time, so like I had really bad senioritis in high school, and I could not, like I just didn't like my teacher for theater. And she, like, we were supposed to do a monologue, and I just was like, I'm not doing it. And so like then the day came, and it was like everyone was getting up to do it, and I was like, oh wait, I actually have to do this. So I just went up there, and I just like, I listened to a lot of rap music. And so I just did a whole like rap verse. Wow. I didn't rap it though, like I said it. I acted it like
Shakespearean style. And with iambic pentameter and everything.
Yeah, that was a good time. But she was like, was that a song? Yeah. I was like, yeah.
Yeah. But I was going to say my earliest experience with acting, I feel like it's kind of similar because you were in Charlotte with a lot of the stuff that you were talking about.
Yeah.
So I was in Greensboro for the first like 10 years of my life.
Okay.
And there's like the Greensboro Center of Performing Arts. And my mom, I guess, signed me up for some drama classes there.
Yeah.
And I just remember there was one time they were doing some big play and I got to play a jester in it. I loved that.
Oh, I could see you thriving.
I know that we have these little like, you know, Polaroid photos of it. It's cute.
Do you have it right now?
No, I don't have it on me. I'd probably have to get my mom or grandma to dig them up.
Oh, okay.
But I should do that. But we would do these exercises, I think, leading up to that big production of the play. Another thing I remember doing, we had this production where I had to sing Rockin' Robin. Like I had like
the
I was a little kid with a leather jean jacket. Or leather jean jacket. What the fuck am I talking about? Just making shit up.
I want to see that jacket.
And then I think they had me come out with like two girls by my side and I had like a fake guitar like, ooh, rockin' Robin, could you beat it? I don't even know if I was actually singing it or if I was lip syncing. I'm pretty sure I was lip syncing. But anyway, the thing that I remember, I feel like this was something that really was like a super early memory that sparked my interest in like acting and improv and comedy was we were doing these improv exercises where I guess like the sort of teenage teachers would like pick a character for you. They do some exercise like almost like you would construct Mad Libs. Like give us just a animal, tuna, okay, and then superhero. It's like Captain Tunafish. Yeah. So they gave me Captain Tunafish.
Oh, so this is it.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got to play this character in these improv exercises where I was Captain Tunafish, and I loved this character. Like it was funny and it was fun and. It must have been, I don't know, like 5 years old or something, maybe 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, but then like I only got to do it like twice. Like every time we do an improv exercise, like I want to be Captain Tunafish again. And they would never like, let's do something else. Like, all right, you have to play a jester in this play now. You're not Captain Tunafish. I don't want to do Rockin' Robin. I want to be Captain Tunafish. And so it was just this thing. I think there was an element there where I really enjoyed that experience, but I was like, had this hunger for I want to create the parameters of the production. Like I want to decide who the characters are and I want to pick which character I am and then like help orchestrate the story. I think that invigorated it. And it wasn't until years later, like it wasn't until I was like 10 or 11 that I got a video camera and started doing that stuff. But yeah, you brought that memory up for me when you were just talking about like all these sort of shady Charlotte Convention Center casting calls and whatnot. Just made me think of Greensboro Performing Arts Center.
Can I call you Captain Tunafish?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great.
Change my name in your phone.
Wait. Oh, never mind. Cut that.
We're back in the game. Just so you know, there was something we cut out just there.
Oh gosh, I feel like that could. Never mind. Cut
what
that.
Were you gonna say?
Cut that too.
Just keep all this in here. Not cutting shit.
Actually, just cut the entire thing. Just do the intro and the outro.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I'll do is right after you read your ad is I'll be like, ooh, I'm a little uncomfortable. Let's shut this down. And I'll just take that where I just said it and then that'll be the end.
I actually really don't like how you have that on video and audio.
Too late. People can clearly see you're reading something I wrote.
Yeah, but like you could use it in other ways. Like what if you cut that? And never mind, I'm not giving you ideas.
Give me ideas.
No.
Come on, how else can I use this?
No.
Do you still have an interest in acting?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What excites you about acting? Like what would be a role? I know you not like laying out a specific role or anything, but just like what about a role would excite you versus one that would bore you?
Okay, I'll give like I think.
Do you feel like you have specific strengths as an actor? Let's start with that.
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, I would say expressions. Like I can. I guess I would be like. That's something that through modeling I practice a lot too, is like, bringing in these different facial expressions and stuff and creating these looks. And so, but to go off of that, like I would prefer a villain or like or someone that's like odd as opposed to like, your typical like girl. Does that make sense? Like I would not like if it was in I wouldn't want to be like the normal like you know what I mean? I'm trying to think of the word, the protagonist. Or
right.
Yeah.
I can see that. I can see you being a villain.
Thank you.
You're kind of the villain in my life.
Yeah, I'm acting.
Is it? Seems more like method acting.
Exactly.
You're just pulling from real emotion.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah.
I respect it.
Yeah, I don't know. What about you? What kind of roles do you like?
Well, I know I have historically, from like a comedy standpoint, have always liked characters. But I think I've lost interest in that, and I think I'm much more like I think this is completely has to do with this shift that just happened for me around like 21, 22. Mm-hmm. So like same way where my whole creative process changed, I think my interest in acting, I haven't acted very much since then. Mm-hmm. And the little bit I have done, it has been about trying to pull from what is real. And that's the same thing with all the other arts. Like no longer am I trying to build some sort of intricate facade that's funny. I have that. I flex those muscles, and I have that at my disposal as a tool that I continue to use. But now I've become very interested in digging down deeper into like trying to catch myself and like psychoanalyze myself and get insight into what's wrong with me, and then like get interested and dig it up and
it's deep.
Yes, transmute it and use it.
Yeah.
So like I like playing the anti-hero. Because to me, I think the anti-hero is, it preserves. It's okay. I think I've heard this analysis about our modern day culture that I agree with, and then it comes back to why I think I'm fascinated with the anti-hero. We live in a culture that is very much like collectively trying to suppress and ignore the shadow. Like both collectively and on an individual level. We're all so many people are trying to feign like I'm a morally good person all the time.
Right.
That's who I am.
Right.
And it's just like no human being does not have the capacity to be an absolute chaotic murderer. We all have that inside of us. Yeah. And if you don't address it, that stuff it's not necessarily if you don't address it, you're just going to become a serial killer. Yeah. But if you don't address it, your shadow is going to start leaking out.
It can fester.
What's that?
Can like fester.
Confessed. Okay, I thought they were saying the word confess and then just putting I'm a confessor.
I was just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Yes, it can fester. Yes, absolutely. It can fester, and then it starts to leak out uncontrollably. Like you just start having these little explosions and mental meltdowns, and you start treating people poorly without you even knowing it or realizing it.
Right.
And treating yourself poorly. You start self-destructive things start coming up.
Right.
So to me, I just feel that the anti-hero is a more honest portrayal of human beings because it's someone who the story and the film, like the narrative of the film, is setting up to where this is your main character, but it's not conventional protagonist in the sense he's all good. He's like, no, he's a severely flawed human being. You're going to see him maybe trying to be good or go on this struggle of just being a piece of shit to like suddenly deciding to try to be a little better. But you're going to see this dark side of them. And, or it's even like stories where it's just like the person just gets worse and you watch this narrative arc of their demise. Like Breaking Bad's a really good example where you see Walter White, this like decent guy, and then his darkness kind of takes him over, and then it's all the way 6 seasons later to his death, and he does so much more evil as things go on. So I think the anti-hero there's a reason why a lot of shows that have that character are super popular.
It's more relatable.
Yes, it speaks to people on a very deep level. So I've found myself really enjoying playing monsters, like in the same way you're like I'd like to be a villain. I also like playing villains. Yeah. But I like the complexity, and I also love exaggeration too. Like still there's that element of like character. Yeah. Like I love the over the top, hyperbolic. Like if I'm gonna play a bad guy, I'd like to play a guy like someone who's morally unsound. I like to play someone who's really morally unsound. Like
here's the line.
Yes, yeah, and just jump way over it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's cool.
Yeah, like even the Grinch, like I liked that because it's like he's like kind of looked at as like this bad guy, but really, if you look at his like story, he was just outcasted, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he has his reasons.
Yeah. But I mean, even just, I don't know. I think that also like on just the level.
And his heart grows really big at the end of it.
Well, we didn't make it to the end.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, actually it's funny you say that about, or said that about like, you know, picking the characters and doing that. So actually for that specific play, that was one of the most like, that was one of my like favorite memories of anything with acting, because another girl and I kind of like took the lead. We were allowed to like, this is the first time we were ever allowed to like do our own script, do our own like whole skit by ourselves, like come up with it and perform it in front of like the whole school, whatever.
Yeah.
And so a girl and I, her mom was a therapist, counselor, and so we were like, why don't we do Christmas counseling? And so like we had like, so I came up with everyone's character, and then she wrote the script, and it was just like, I don't know, having that whole creation process was a lot more fun to me than like, it wasn't even about like the control of it, because I loved her script, right? Like I wasn't even like, oh, this person should do this or this person, like it wasn't even like that. It was just seeing how it came from like nothing, and then this collaborative effect, and then each person like just did their part so well. Like it was just like I couldn't play everyone, and I didn't want to play everyone, but just because this person was like so good at what they did, it made this like magic at the end. I don't know, it was just like really cool to see it all just happen over time, and then the process of it too, like having someone like, oh wait, I'm gonna do this, and then actually seeing them at the end like do it so well. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's, I mean, it circles back to what we're saying about there needing to be like some necessary amount of form. Like it's like, you know, it's usually not about the control, right? It's not about like, oh, I need to be able to manipulate these things exactly as I want them, but it's like the alternative is often working under someone who puts you in a box that's not very fun to be in. And so either the two options of having fun is either be the person who creates that box and make it fun yourself, or work with someone who creates a fun box, who you like the box that they create, and the way that they orchestrate these things, and you're happy. The part that you're given in that system is fun for you, and it's fulfilling, and it's challenging. Yeah.
I love that, because I think that can be related into like just so many things in life. And you know, we've created a society where we have to work to live, right? And so like even in jobs, you know, personally I don't see myself like being someone that really enjoys going to work and doing a job kind of thing. Like I have enjoyed the structure that I create for myself kind of thing. But if more people were focused on creating environments that people could flourish in rather than just be like slaves to a system, it would just be so much better. And you see that, you know, in certain environments where, you know, people that work like absolutely love their job versus someone that's in the same role somewhere else and they absolutely hate it. I don't know. It's just,
it does seem like there's, you know, there's a difference in temperament in people. Like there's some people that prefer their life to be extremely simple. Like I want to be the guy at the factory that's doing the same thing every day.
Right.
And then there's some people that's going to kill them to do that. Like they want a job. They want to have many jobs over a long span of time because they want novelty and something different, or they want a job that evolves.
Right.
And that is, yes, it's optimally doable and challenging for them, and it allows them to develop as a person, because that's usually what people want on a deep level, but not everybody wants that. There are people that want the simple jobs.
Right.
We could talk about that.
I was about to say that could be its own like little like avenue.
I mean, that's a very deep conversation about like, well, maybe those people should, you know, think about maybe they should start with thinking.
Have you ever thought before?
Yes.
Have you ever thought?
Yes. I think so. Maybe that was my first thought. See, you can trigger people into thinking.
Are you triggered?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Absolutely. Every time I see you, I'm triggered.
Perfect. Staring contest?
You'll lose. Is it a blinking one, or is it until...
You just blinked. I won. Anyway, moving on.
I'll give you that. Okay. So I know that we've also talked about Los Angeles a little bit. You visited a number of times, and I know it's something that you are considering moving to. I don't know if you're still considering it. Are you?
It's considered.
It's considered.
Consider it considered.
Consider it considered.
Yeah.
What do you like about LA?
First off, which is like not pretty, I guess this isn't a typical answer. I mean, maybe it is, I don't know. But just the way that it is like located near mountains and a beach.
Yeah, that was the first thing I loved about it. Was like I described it as a diversity of terrain.
I was trying to come up with a better way to say that, and I like that.
Yeah. It's just there's beautiful, like intricate city. There's also gross, shitty city.
Shitty city.
Shitty city. And then, there's these beautiful mountains. There's ones that are just completely nature, and there's others that just have houses all over them. And yeah, you have like really like industrial, like futuristic looking places that also just look like they're still from like the 50s. And then, the different kinds of beaches. Yeah. The diversity of terrain is
that's the one.
Sick.
Yeah. And then it's warmer, and then it's cooler nights. I've always, like, the cool thing about North Carolina is we have that, you know? Like, I live in Charlotte. It's the city. I'm 2 hours away from the mountains, and I'm 3 hours away from the beach. But, again, that is a lot more spread out. And then LA is just, it's all right there. And then you do have this appeal of everyone, not everyone, but most people out there have some kind of creative dream or desire. And the energy there is very strong in that. And which... on the positive side of that, it is really cool because you never know who you're going to meet. Like, you know, it's the city of opportunity, that kind of thing. Like you can meet anyone on the corner, and you can work with anyone. Like, I've been able to make some cool connections with people that do amazing things out there. But I think that whenever it becomes a lot about that, when there's a city that is a lot about opportunity and networking and stuff, it's just the authenticity can be compromised. Yes.
The whole thing to me on the social level felt like I'm in a simulation, and there's no like breaking through to something deeper with people. I also, like, at first liked the lack of humidity, and then when my nose started bleeding some mornings, then I was like, I don't like this as much. I'm putting Vaseline in my nostrils.
Thank you for that detail.
You're welcome.
I love that mental image.
Yeah, of my nose bleeding and putting Vaseline in my nostrils. Think about that.
Have you ever thought?
Have you?
But yeah, you lived out there. So how long were you there?
9 months. Yeah.
And then you gave birth to a new city.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, my experience living there was vastly different from my experience visiting, because I visited twice. Before I moved, and I really liked it, and it was like, this place seems very exciting and vibrant, and it's a place where it's like everyone's pursuing all these creative careers, and more people that I think are going to be more like me, and there's just so much, like there's always some sort of great event going on there, and there's multiple at a time.
You got options.
The parties are great, I mean, there's so much beauty and excitement and darkness. There's all the things like packed into the city. That's one thing that people usually don't talk about, is that dark underbelly of LA. That I like that to some degree. And living there, it was just I think on a moment to moment basis, I still felt the same, and I was like, I like this place. Ultimately, it's a struggle here for sure. Like, it's not easy to just get by here. But there's a lot of opportunity for what my income can be, and I'm jumping around to different things. But after I was there for about, I was
probably like on month 7, 8. And I was planning on, I was like, all right, I've been jumping around from Airbnbs. I'm going to sign a lease and stay here for another year. And then as I was doing, like looking at options there and having conversations with people, things just kept falling through or this and that. And if I kept going, I probably could have found something, but I think I just hit a point where I was like, and I also went out there with this idea, like nothing's going to send me back. I'm not coming back. I'm definitely moving here. I'm not going to let struggle get in my, like, make me turn around.
Right.
And so it wasn't struggle, but it was looking back, like, what have I done creatively over the past 9 months? Almost nothing. I've been doing some fun stuff, but
yeah.
I don't have the freedom for creative fulfillment with this lifestyle. And I don't see me being able to bargain that for myself anytime soon. Imagine pissing away more years of my 20s without being able to engage with the creativity that I have. I was like, just the way things are, and you think about it from a competitive standpoint, you're in a city with this industry where, like, it's cool to be around a bunch of creative people, but it's also like you're competing with 10 million other people. And then my experience is just doing comedy there. Like, it was almost never fun. It was like the audience, and I think it would be different if I were playing at like the big places, like the celebrity comedians are. But the open mics, they were just so low energy, and it was just people that were just like, they don't give a fuck about what's going on stage. Likely because they are struggling themselves to make it creatively. There's this like underlying part of the dark underbelly. All the people that aren't making it in LA have this shared bitterness and resentment because they're constantly watching success of others unfold in front of their faces,
right,
and they're not properly dealing with it.
Right.
And so anytime they see anyone even do well in a place like that, they're not going to laugh. They're not excited. They're not happy about it. You know, so there was just kind of this like draining energy in those places where it was like, yeah, this comedy scene isn't, and I had a shift there where like I went there thinking film was the main thing I wanted to pursue, and then probably about halfway through I was like, no, I think comedy's like my main thing. And if I had figured that out before moving, I probably would have chose New York. And when I moved back, I was like, New York's going to be my next move. But over the years I've been like, you know, I really like I've grown to really value the comfort that I have here, not for the comfort of being able to relax and do nothing, but the comfort that allots me the ability to invest in my own independent creative projects. And the way that the industry has shifted in the past 10, 20 years is like the internet is so much more valuable than like actually making it on a television network or like a streaming services. These things are really losing their value and quality from my subjective point of view. I think the people that really have their business model right, whether they're in the music industry or content creation of any kind, comedy, are the people that are making it through the internet and independently producing themselves. And they're not part of an entity that's funding it. They have so much more freedom and they're able to do exactly what they want. And also, looking at what the fuck I do, I'm not ever, to be real with myself. And this is, again, this is not something to discourage you from going to LA, because I feel that you have the ability to fit in a lot better with their culture. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you're going to find people you vibe with there if you go there. But me, I think that my stuff is something that the industry really wants to stay away from. And I think the folks in LA, mostly, it ain't for them. It's like what they hate.
I hate it too.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly why I think you'd fit in. Mm-hmm. Anyway, sorry for that long-winded analysis, but
no, I think it's very interesting. You were there, you experienced it, and okay, I need to go closer to the mic. Wait,
water break.
Water break.
Let's just slurp really loud into the mic.
Or not. There it is. But no, yeah, your experience is valid, and yeah, you do have.
Oh, whatever.
This is actually a therapy session. No, like that experience, like I think it's interesting because everyone there is trying to be different.
Mm.
But like, how different can you be if you're really, I don't know. It's like you're conforming to this certain set of standards that are you're allowed to be different in.
Yes.
And if you're actually different, it's like, you know.
Yes. But yeah, to be very clear about what I was saying about you potentially moving there is I think you have things that LA likes.
Mm.
Yes. So if you are considering it, I don't think it's a bad idea for you.
Yeah. Well, thanks. I don't know.
But I also don't think it's necessary.
That's the thing is like kind of like what you were saying about how everything on the internet is growing so much, and you really don't have to go there anymore. Like that's kind of a thing of the past almost, that you'd have to fly to LA to get into this industry whenever you can be discovered or, you know, whatever from where you are. And maybe if you make it big where you are, then going there may be beneficial, whether that be to live or just travel in general. But I don't think you necessarily have to live out there anymore.
Right. On that note, do you have a vision for the future that you want to have?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk about it?
Sure. You can ask.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so I'll start by saying the life that I've had has it's taken unexpected turns, but I feel like looking back on a lot of things, it's like, wow, I kind of manifested that in a way. It's like, wow, there was a time in my life where I wanted this, and it took a few years and then it happened. And now I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, whatever I want, I need to be really intentional about, because it can happen. And I've seen it throughout my life happen. And so with that being said, you know, I would love to just be able to have the freedom to be able to create and essentially use whatever platform is created from that to help people. And I know that's super generic and there's so many different ways. I think that like niching down on that, like I'm very interested in health, mental health, just people that are kind of outcasted. It's like in society and that are forgotten about, whether that's, you know, like prisoners, like, or, you know, people in retirement homes, orphans, like people that don't even have a voice. And then going off of that, animals, because animals literally don't have a voice. The earth doesn't, have a voice, you know, like the things in life that, like, who would I be if I had the opportunity to speak on behalf of something that, you know, is suffering, and I can actually potentially make a difference to help and not do it. So being able to create content that I'm kind of like between like, okay, I want to make content about these things, or even just like content that's like striking enough to get people's attention. And then, by the way,
yes. Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of a goal. And then where that is, how exactly that looks like, I'm definitely curating that more in my mind, and like through different experiences, different creative outlets, kind of finding how I want to do it basically. But yeah, that's kind of like an ultimate goal, just to be able to use that. And then, you know, I have a background in psychology and stuff, and so that aspect of things, like really trying to help people on the innermost level, is like, I think you know, if you don't know yourself, if you don't understand, you've even talked about this, like you've gone through a journey of getting to know yourself, and that not only helps you navigate the world, but also like be able to navigate yourself in the world. And so if people don't have that understanding and they're just on autopilot and they let things happen to them, and the world can be cruel, but it can be beautiful. It's all about how you look at it. And if you're going down this way of the cruel side, then those things are going to continue to happen. You're going to be looking for cruel things. But if you look on this side, then I'm not saying bad things still can't happen, but the way you perceive it and respond to it will affect further things.
Yes, yes. You have a finite amount of attention, and not across time, but in this moment, you have a finite amount of attention, and then that moment across time is finite.
Which is crazy. That's a whole topic in itself. Like,
what I was gonna say regarding what you just said.
No, keep going.
Is that yes, if you are someone that constantly is focusing on what is going wrong, you're going to find more and more stuff about what's going wrong, what you don't like about this, what you don't like about that, what sucks about it, and that's going to be your world.
Right.
Is picking apart the world and finding all the things that bring you anxiety and make you sad and make you angry, bitter, all that.
Yeah.
And if you're someone you're constantly looking for solutions or trying to excavate for beauty, you're trying to find the things that you love and that expand you and that excite you and invigorate you, you're going to find more and more of that.
Right.
It's magnetic. And it's like, as someone into psychology, I'm sure you understand that process of like conscious and unconscious mind, where it's like the conscious is a little bit of yourself that you have some control and free will with. And if you start that practice, you might be someone who is very focused on problems right now. And the first part would be, and like in negative stuff, it might be someone who identifies as pessimistic or cynical. And if you can first recognize that and recognize that you don't want that for yourself or the people around you, you can start actively using your conscious mind to focus on what is good and what you have gratitude for around you. And then if you do that across time with your finite attention, the unconscious will start to pick up on that. And then you'll start doing that automatically.
Right.
And you'll feel like whole body like that's the new you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it takes time and practice.
For
too.
sure. Yeah. No, it's been, like over 5 years for me now of like recognizing that and then actively trying to like build better self-talk in my head. And I now feel like I'm at the point where more than 50% of me, like I've hit a tipping point where I'm like, okay, I'm mostly like thinking positively and productively.
Good.
But of course I still have that little voice in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can usually check it, step back.
Like, okay. And that's another thing too, is like, I think that there's a sense of like toxic positivity sometimes too, where it's like, oh, everything's fine. Like, it's great. Like, but I think it's important to recognize the other, kind of like bringing it full circle to like that shadow self, that side that isn't, that we try to suppress and stuff, to recognize it and feel whatever you're feeling, but then to like release it. Because the more, if you're just constantly like, anytime you feel bad or anytime you're upset about something, just being like, oh no, I need to be happy, I need to be, positive, then it stores in your body physically. And if you don't, like, the only way out is through, right? So it's like you have to deal with it in some way, whether that's like in meditation or, through physical activity or, these different outlets that we're given, which is kind of crazy how we can heal ourselves, but you have to take that time to actually do it. But better so just through living life, being able to feel your emotions and then come back to center, and that center be what you've trained yourself to be, in that state of gratitude. And anyway.
Yeah. That's another thing I've thought about recently, is like, how much more in touch I am with my emotions now. And like, one, how mysterious and difficult to grasp emotions are just in general.
Yeah.
It's almost the same thing. Maybe, yeah, it's almost synonymous with digging into the unconscious self. You can never fully know the unconscious self, but emotions like that are very elusive. But you can, the more you put attention on them and like track your patterns and like pay attention to what makes you feel what way.
Right.
And rather than being afraid of your emotions, getting curious about them. And I don't know. It's a weird domain.
Yeah.
And I still feel like I have so much to learn there, but I also feel like I've made a lot of progress that that was sort of what the recent thought was like, huh. I remember when I first was like super confused about this subject, and now like I feel like I got a driving grasp on it to some degree.
Right. And it's like even everything that we just said like is just the super simplified version of it.
Yes, absolutely.
And and then it's like the more you're in it, the more you realize like how much there is still to do, but then it's like it is important to like you said, like look how far you've come, but then it's like the deeper you get, the deeper you realize it is.
Don't think you're done.
No.
Ever.
No, I guess that's the point of it though. I don't know.
I still have a bunch of different places we can go. Are you good? Is there a time you need to be done?
No. Are people going to watch this to the end, do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, who cares? We're just talking.
Yeah. They don't have to watch it all at once.
Yeah, true. This could be episodes.
It'll be one single one, but...
No. We're chopping it up in each topic. You can cut all this.
5-minute bits.
Please cut.
Once I cut all the stuff that isn't working, we'll be down to like a 5-minute podcast.
Once I cut all the stuff that I just didn't like, it'll just be the beginning where you read the ad and then it'll be over.
Yeah. That's exactly the plan.
Yep.
Wow, you know me so well.
I do, unfortunately.
It's almost like you're in love with me.
Oh my God. You know what? Actually, I do have somewhere I have to be. Anywhere but here.
Wow. I hated that moment that you said that.
I love that you're in touch with your emotions.
Yeah. Well, let me give you some options for things we could talk about.
Okay.
And then I'll let you pick one.
Okay.
We can talk more about creativity.
Actually, don't give me options. Pick something different. I don't want to pick something different.
Okay. Let's talk about...
No.
All right. We'll go with this. I like this question. What do you think about God? Do you think, bro?
What do I think? You've opened up a can of worms.
I imagine I have, yeah.
I don't really talk about this kind of thing publicly much. Just because...
It's loaded.
It is very loaded. But at the same time, I just think that the way I was raised and the people that I know from that tend to think that there's only one right answer. And every other answer, even if it has the slightest variation of difference, is just wrong. And you go somewhere not so great because of that. However, from my experience with that, which I'm not even knocking. Okay, so just with that experience, like I grew up going to a private Christian school, was in church every Sunday, basically, just very much in that world. And I think that upbringing did a lot for me. I mean, even from a young age, I was always like, why? Anytime you tell me anything, I'd be like, why? That was just like an ongoing joke. My mom would always say like,
just curious.
Yes, always. And I always questioned, like not in a curious way. It wasn't always taken as curious. It was taken as like challenging. And because I wanted to, like, if you told me you're not allowed to do this, I'd be like, okay, well, why not? Like, it's just, I've never just taken something for just face and like just completely accepted it. Even if I don't verbally question, in my head I'm questioning. I'm like going a little bit deeper. And so with that being said, how I grew up, like I questioned a lot of things. Yeah. And I didn't always get answers to those questions.
Right.
And now in my adult life, I think that looking back on what I was taught in a lot of ways is very, like, it's fundamental on who I am today. And I am very appreciative of all of that, because I think that, you know, the morals and the sense of right and wrong, the sense of how to treat other people, how to just kind of navigate this life and, you know, live a perfect life essentially, and like, have a relationship with something that is higher than yourself. I think that that's all very powerful and true to me, but in my adult life exploring, once you get into just the vastness of the universe and, quantum physics, all these things that are just not explained in simple form. And I think that the way that I grew up, I was told everything on a very simple level. It's parables. It's things that are, it's not as detailed and intricate through a, more scientific lens. And I think that they can go together, but I think that there's just such a divide that this is taken so literally that it leaves no room for this. And so, and do you get what I'm saying by this and that kind of?
To be clear, it sounds like this is being taken so literally. You're talking about stories and parables from religion, right?
Yes.
Right. It's funny that you say this because like, my current analysis about like society at large and people, because a lot of people mostly do identify as atheistic, or even at the very least, like I'm spiritual, but organized religion I have qualms with.
Right.
So I kind of see what you're saying, but inverted. Like I feel like science is the very rigid way that's very like objective and measurable, and like it's all about putting things in a box.
Okay.
Where the stories and parables are supposed, but see, it sounds like there's validity to what you're saying though, and I'll come back to it. I think that the stories in a structure like the Bible are supposed to be taken a little more metaphorically and loosely, but there is some sort of feature for what it does for the person to take them literally,
right,
and to take them as gospel and to act as if. So there, and also it goes back to this thing like the problem of complexity and the issue of limited attention and perception. It's like, if you were to break down what God means in scientific terms, like fully, you could probably talk for 72 hours straight and still like scratch the surface.
Yeah.
So there's some utility in it being a simplified thing. Just God, this is what we're talking about. And then there's all that comes with it. And you just know that just from that 1 3-letter word.
Yeah.
So anyway, to come back to the validity of it sounds like your experience was people that were taking those things literally to a degree to where maybe they exuded toxic behavior as sort of like a side effect of that literal interpretation, of that dogmatic adoption of it. Right. That sounds a little bit like what you're getting at.
Yeah, and also something that you said. So I agree with that, and what you said too about this side being boxed in, that makes sense too. I think that there again, everything in life has to have this like perfect balance, right? And you have to have, this can honestly open up your mind to possibilities, and this can just kind of, guide the way that you navigate life and how you can perceive the world, basically, and how you treat people, all this stuff. But with this, I actually thought about it the other day. As humans, like, we're so all about ourselves, the same reason why people are so okay with, killing animals, destroying the earth, like all these things that are, we only care about ourselves, basically. And anything else is like a side, like if we, deforestation, like pollution, like all this stuff, it's just like, oh, well, as long as I have my, Happy Meal and I'm driving my car, like I'm fine, I'm going to my job. Like there's not a lot of like consideration for other things. And so taking that same mindset, I was thinking about this. I don't think humans could really, as a society, really grasp the idea of God unless they pictured him as a man. Like, and like this like idea of like, oh, a man did all this, and like this is how God is, because we can relate to that, which makes sense. Like it's just the most simplified version, because it's like, if God is like this man, this is all the qualities that he would have, and it's like, personified in a human form. So it's like we can grasp that, rather than like what you're saying, this, if you were to say it like in scientific terms, you're like brrr, and
Yeah.
like not even touching the surface. But if you can translate it this, then it's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think there's something there with, there's a lot of things that came up from you saying that. I have to pick which direction I want to go in. In fact, the direction I was about to go in, I don't think was that interesting. But I guess what I was going to say is about the seeing God as a man sort of thing. I mean, again, this is this sort of rigid, personified version that there is utility into simplifying it to that for people that need that simplification.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that maybe not necessarily fully scientific terms, but in more non-secular philosophical terms, I think the metaphorical reason God is personified as a man is because of the whole philosophical divide of seeing the order is masculine and chaos is feminine. And God isn't necessarily all, because order can become tyrannical if there's too much of it, and chaos can be good if you implement it properly. It's not good and bad. It's just they're different. Like entropy is probably the scientific term for chaos, and then form and things are order. But and again, this is a very simplified thing, but I think that God in philosophical non-secular terms is often pointing to order that is properly balanced and is developed across time to represent the order that is good, like from a human judgment point of view, but it's some sort of agreed upon judgment, like that which brings things into being and makes them manifest in things, like humans and
Right.
But again, both are, but God is not the full, like, this is such a complicated thing. And it is like, I'm fucking up by trying to put it into words.
Right.
Really.
It's so hard because even I'm thinking like, I don't know. Keep going. It's just like, how do you even scratch the surface of this topic?
Right.
Without getting...
It's fun to try. It's fun to make a mess.
I think the best way to answer it all is just with questions, you know? Like, it's because...
Why?
Why? Have you seen that Vine?
No.
It's like this pastor, and he's like, why?
Oh, no,
Why?
I haven't seen that.
It's on Vine.
Yeah, I'll go download Vine. Check that out.
R.I.P. No, but I mean, it's just, I think the more we realize we don't know, the more fascinating it is to continue to question the things that we possibly could have some sort of understanding. Because, you know, do we even really, what is like truth anyway? You know, what is facts? Like,
yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah. Like, have you seen I mean, did not mean to do that. Have you seen like those videos of cake, but it doesn't look like cake?
Yes.
It's kind of like that. It's like, oh yeah, that's an Air Force One cake. Like, how can you really, it's just because something appears one way doesn't mean it is that way.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have so much more to say, but I'm not going to.
I don't even know if we should put this in because it's just like, it's incomplete. I don't know.
Do you have any other things you want to talk about before we stop? Any questions for me?
Any questions for you?
Anything you want to say or confront me about publicly?
Yeah, I'm mad that you made me read that.
I didn't make you read anything. I gave you the thing. You didn't even read it. You just started saying stuff. Can we actually play that clip back so we can hear it again, see what she did, where she didn't read it and she just spoke from the heart? Bethany, it's been a pleasure.
Has it?
No, now that you got me thinking about it, no, not really. But, you know, we did it. We did the thing.
Have you ever thought?
No, actually, I've never thought before.
No.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I feel like, there's a lot that we didn't get to that I would like to.
Part 2?
Yeah, we can do a part 2.
Cool.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.